Hello, my name is Aiden Paravecchia. I'm a 2025 engine cadet. I'm a C-splitter. This is a video of me testing the steering gear as part of my Shipboard systems project for my second sailing. So here real quick, I'm turning on steering gear pump number 2. Typically when doing the steering gear test, we rotate the pumps. Here we just happen to start number 2 for the test. On this panel here, I'm going to open up, and this is the switch lever to test the emergency steering. So I'll flip that switch and that'll take it off the autopilot rudder commands, and now I can operate the rudder via port and starboard. So I'll hold down the port button for about 10 degrees, come back to midship, and then hold down the starboard button for about 10 degrees, and then back to midship. So here you can see the wraps and slide steering gear component actuating. There we go. Once we're finished with that, I'll shut that off. That lets me know that we have emergency steering should we need it in an emergency operation. I'm going to climb up here. I'm just going to test the first hydraulic unit, oil level, and the sensor. So here's the oil level for the pump. We're just going to check that. Holding down the small button, the oil level should rise to a small mark on the side. And here, I'm going to hold down the top float. This is the cutoff. So the alarm will sound. I know you can't hear it in the video, but the alarm will sound, and the engineer on duty will make sure to acknowledge the alarm. They know that we're doing the steering gear test. And that just tests the alarm system to make sure that from the engine room we can hear it, and we can run back if need be. So here I'm testing it on pump number 1 up front. I just did pump number 2. There's 4 pumps in total. Odd numbers are on the starboard side, even on the port side. So I'm walking back there now. Just going to climb up on the other side. It's completely symmetrical. All the rudder indicators, all the piping, all the pumps, the 2 rams for the wraps and slide are all completely symmetrical on both sides. So I'll do the oil level test here. I'll test the alarm once more. Wait for the alarm to go off. And the alarm most likely went off. So I'll move on to the last one here. These are the 2 kind of main inspection points. Obviously, while we're doing this, we're looking around for any leaks, any dripping grease or anything like that. I'm going to come over to this small panel. This is just going to tell me that all 4 pumps are in alarm, as you can see by the 4 red lights flashing there. I just acknowledge the alarm and reset the pumps. That way, they will go off if there's an actual emergency. Here, I'm going to switch over. This is my first engineer. He's going to go up and make the phone call to the bridge. I've made the phone call to the bridge. It's not, super exciting. But here we're just going to make contact with the second mate. So, and we have our rudder indicator there. That's just so that they match up with us. We make sure that our alignment is matching theirs. So here, my first engineer is going to call. He's going to tell them that we're pretty much done with all of our testing, and they can go ahead and begin their form of testing on the steering gear. Theirs is a little bit more in-depth. Ours is more of just a quick left to right on the emergency steering and making sure all the pumps are good. Theirs is checking each rudder position all the way through. So here I'm doing a gloss over. There's the main ram on the wraps and slide. That's heavily greased, obviously, just to make ease of movement here. And you can watch it move port and starboard here as the bridge begins to test theirs. They will go all the way to the left and all the way to the right. And then they'll do some small changes in between at 5 degrees, 10 degrees, and 15 degrees. So I'll take this time to mention the CFRs that are involved. The main ones are going to be in CFR Title 46, Part 35. The steering gear needs to be tested within 12 hours of departure or arrival into a port, especially if the voyage has been for or is going to be longer than 48 hours. For some smaller voyages across lakes and, I guess the Great Lakes should be mentioned. I think the steering gear just has to be tested at least once a week, but obviously we're an ocean liner, so we're testing them every 12 hours. The other one's going to be Title 33, Chapter 1, Part 164 of the CFR. That just tells us what we need to do, what our steering gear test should entail when we go in. So that's a visual inspection, a remote steering operation, steering from the bridge with their which they're doing now. Operation from an alternate power supply, so that would be manually operating the pumps or using the emergency steering pump. And then like we tested the alarms, the angle indicators, the unit fail alarms, the reset. Here's a brief overview of the electro-hydraulic steering gear unit, just there. And then finally, testing the full movement, which the bridge is knocking out kind of in conjunction with what they're doing. So here they're still testing, just making sure that they follow all the proper rules. I'm going to take a step down here and start looking at the bottom. I'm going to walk over here and we'll get a view of the ram and slide under here and how it operates and the quick turning mechanism and the tiller on each. If this steering gear system seems a little rushed, it is a little rushed. This is us pulling into Salalah, Oman in the Middle East. So obviously high tensions in the Middle East with Houthis and Iranians, so we did speed this up. There, my first engineer is just going to acknowledge the phone call after the bridge says that they're all good. So everything looks to be good. I'll do a final walk around here with a flashlight, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll take a look back here. Like I said, was very not rushed in a sense, still safe, but definitely sped up with us not wanting to kind of sit and wait. So a lot of these ports were very fast moving. We pulled in and pulled out a lot of the time. So yep, just that quick visual inspection there. I'll walk around the other side of the pump here and the unit. So I'll head over here and give a brief overview of what the panels look like for each of the steering gear units. There's some instructions on there if you can't figure it out. These are the emergency steering gear panels, that non-follow-up system. That's just for a lot of the different pumps there. And then we're gonna walk around here, and these are the odd number. These are the ones on the starboard side. So as you can see there, number 3, number 1 it looks like, and then their emergency steering, or their testing for those. So that's most of the overview of the layout. We'll duck down one more time and take a look at the slide mechanism here. That's just how that's moving. Now the slide is back in autopilot, so obviously it's moving in conjunction with how the rudder angle that they're getting based on the ship's autopilot. So yeah, we'll see it moves side to side. A lot of these bearings and kind of points here are very heavily greased just to make sure that there's no friction, no metal to metal contact. There is grease traps for each of these. Usually those are filled, but brushing on the grease is completely viable as well. Just with a paintbrush, you can take some and just make sure that there's not a thick application, but definitely not a thin application. So making sure that there's enough there that the slide and ram can move efficiently. Same thing goes for the tiller point connections. A lot of those are ball point connections and ball bearings, so those need to be greased as well. Go back up here. There's the motor unit for the actual pumps. Like I said, 4 pumps, 4 motors. First engineer is still on the phone. Just knocking out what needs to be said and making sure that all the testing is good. I think we received some more port information. That's it. Thank you.